on the ground by law enforcement officials on Highway 2 near Larimore, moving off to the east at 40 miles per hour. Also, we're hearing reports of what's called a haboob. It's a meteorological term for a dust storm. Gusty winds near 80 miles per hour blowing through Northwood right now. So here's the tornado warning part of the storm, but the actual tornado that's been cited by law enforcement with this hook echo up here near Larimore, that's one area. Down here, whoop, there's the new tornado warning. This does include Grand Forks. So if we can join our other network too, please. This is a tornado warning that's going to be moving into the Grand Forks proper area shortly. We have the Larimore storm that's working in towards Emerado and the airport. We have another tornado warned storm down here that has had confirmed tornadoes making their way down from the cloud. And then we see this light, faint green line that's approaching the Northwood area. That's the haboob. That's the dust storm. That is the collapsing outflow from this storm causing straight line winds in excess of 80 miles per hour. And I know I mentioned this moments ago, but I'll take a moment now to mention it again. We're going to go to our sky cam here, and we're going to look in Grand Forks. There's a lot of folks out and about right now, and I know that you got to have a word on what's going on around town as I switch back to the Grand Forks camera here quickly. So I got the Greater Grand Forks Fair going on out there. You're looking from our home of economy view. There's a lot of folks out and about. And there is a mean and nasty line of storms that's moving right into the Emerado area and Grand Forks. It will be there as we get closer to 6 o'clock, but you need to start taking precautions. So if you know folks out at the fair, you do not want to be caught outside with 80 mile per hour straight line winds kicking up dust or a possible tornado. So for our viewers on KVOY, you've just joined us now for live coverage of storms approaching Grand Forks. 2 active tornado warnings in Grand Forks County. Reports of a haboob, which is a dust storm that's taking place down in the Northwood area from a storm that's approaching that area. And the same storm has now also got a confirmed tornado on the ground in the Larimore area. So 2 active tornado warnings from this one cluster of thunderstorm cells. We're going to take you out. Oh, also for our viewers in the New Rockford and Carrington areas, we have strong and severe storms working their way east. These are going to be pressing in toward the Tolna area where there's a windy line of storms there. This is our area of concern, so I'm going to recenter my map on the radar here a little bit. And I do want to point out, first and foremost, this first tornado warning that's been in effect is in effect until 6 o'clock. There's indications of rotation here. There's indications of rotation here. Eric Whitehill is on this storm, and we are in communication with him. He has seen the lowerings, and at times those do make contact with the ground. There's also another dangly down here that could be having some rotation just north of you in the Binford area. But we got the reports of the haboob approaching Northwood. See this? Right there, this green line that you see there, that's the outflow boundary. There's another one that's going through the Northwood area right now, kicking up debris and dust. And as we take a look at the radial velocities or at the speed of the wind that the radar is measuring, we can see these areas here where we may have winds over 57 to 70 miles per hour. And right now, this is above the ground, mind you, what the radar is measuring, but we've got this area of winds that's blasting toward the radar at times upwards of 80 miles per hour. And I did see some estimates moments ago that were closer to the 90 mile per hour rating. So we do have, check this out. This is your ordinary radar display. A lot of rain, hail potential, but the gusty wind that's being caused by the falling rain and hail out of the storm is blasting out towards Northwood. That's where we got the dust storm reported. Here's Grand Forks. That is a line, also an outflow boundary that's heading towards you. You're likely going to see that very gusty wind hit town very shortly. This would indicate wind, just looking at the shape of this little green echo that we're seeing right here. It's through Emerado. It's working its way into the airport area, and it's heading in towards Grand Forks right now. That little feature right there is likely caused by what we would call a gust front. And a gust front is that cold air. So you may see temperatures or notice temperatures dropping here very abruptly, very quickly in the Grand Forks area. Let's see if I can plot those temperatures on here for you that are in the area. I'm not seeing them yet, but that's okay. So there we are, Grand Forks, 84 degrees. So as this gust front now has just made its way through the airport area, is working its way towards town, this little feature here could indicate some extremely strong straight line winds that'll be blowing from the west-northwest. So if you are out at the fair now, that's moments away. Let's give you a little bit of a timing on that feature. Okay, moving southeast. I can't get the timing there. I'm going to have to zoom out just a little bit. Pardon me. There we go. All right, so the gust front feature right here heading into Grand Forks, it is blowing southeast and moving likely at close to 40 miles per hour. We'll put it in Grand Forks in 10 minutes. So you could experience, before the main line of the storm even gets to you in Grand Forks, a very, very strong, gusty, gust front, straight line wind coming towards you in the next 10 minutes or so. And that's from this leading edge of the storm moving into Grand Forks. Your temperature now 84. Behind that, we may see that drop significantly as that works its way through. Again, so 10 minutes till gust front arrives in the Grand Forks area. And the same feature that we heard of was causing a dust storm in the Northwood area as we take into the southern reaches of the county here. Let me get my bearings. There we are. So there is that light green feature that has blown its way through the Northwood area, and that caused some gusty winds there as well. So taking a look, tornado warnings do continue for our viewers down in the southern reaches of Nelson County, southern reaches of Grand Forks County, and now right along the Highway 2 corridor of Grand Forks, where law enforcement did report a tornado on the ground near the Larimore area. The rotation in the storm, the spin and the shear, is still, well, it's still evident. This is definitely becoming an outflow dominant storm here. So what that means is the wind and the rain right here where we see these bright colors, huge winds blowing out toward the radar with these green and blue colors. So it's blowing out towards Northwood right now. And that wind right there interacts with the inflow of the storm, and it's causing right here is a feature where we may have that tornado. That would be not far from you in the McKinnock area, as we look up there. And we also are seeing some evidence of some spin in the storm that was working its way into Carrington as well. So again, very gusty, strong straight line winds, destructive straight line winds in excess of 70 miles per hour will be possible with this storm as it makes its way through and towards Northwood and now moving into Grand Forks. In the northern part of Grand Forks County, where you see this bright box, that is for what we call a considerable thunderstorm warning, because considerable damage will be possible from this. Notice that the threats are for a tornado possible. So even though you're not in a tornado warning up here, and that would include Inkster, and it would include the, just areas south of Grafton on the I-29 corridor, crossing over the Red River right now into parts of, well, here's Marshall County, Minnesota. So that would be not far from you folks in the Oslo area. So again, very gusty straight line winds, backward C shape, strong gusty winds making their way into Oslo that could be 80 miles per hour. 1.5-inch diameter hail will be possible with this cell where we're seeing these bright reds here. That will be where the best likelihood of that would be. Also, we're seeing this backward C shape here from Fordville all the way down to the Highway 2 corridor that would also indicate another outflow of gusty winds. And it's the direction that the backward C is facing, or the bow echo is facing. That bow echo right there where it has that apex would be where we have the strongest straight line winds. So northern Grand Forks County, very gusty, strong thunderstorms with considerable damage possible from straight line winds. And we also have storms here that are blowing their way into southern Grand Forks County. This southern edge here, we see these little areas where we have what we call hooks, and where those hooks are could be areas of pretty tight rotation developing where the outflow interacts with inflow and we get the spin ups. So we're watching this very closely. We've been talking about it throughout the week as a first alert weather day. And again, if you are in southern Grand Forks County or the Highway 2 corridor of Grand Forks County into the base in Amaretto, these tornado warnings means that you should be taking your precautions. You want to make sure that you are getting down to the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. That means exit things like manufactured homes and mobile homes and make sure that you are in a structure that is capable of withstanding as much wind as possible. Even straight line winds can cause trees to topple over. So even though you're not in a tornado warning up in the northern reaches of Grand Forks County, unfortunately, an individual lost their life on Monday of this week from a tree toppling down and hitting their trailer. We don't want that to happen to you. Try to seek shelter in a sturdy structure. Give yourself time to do so. Don't run during the storm. You don't want to be caught outside. And that goes for all of the folks out there at the fair this evening in the Grand Forks area as we take another look from our camera there in Grand Forks. A lot of folks out and about enjoying the time. It's going to be closer to, well, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we may see the wind pick up and things start to shake a little bit as that gust front kind of makes its way in toward town. And sometimes those gust fronts can really cause a temperature decrease very rapidly as well. So you can see in the loop of the radar data, these faint green lines, those are your outflows. Those can also be associated with some clouds called roll clouds rolling out ahead of the storm. We also see a whole line of storms starting to fire and form out here out of the Bismarck area, moving into the Kidder County area. Flood warnings for portions of northern Wells County, Carrington, New Rockford seeing storms move through. And look at this in Devil's Lake, just to the south near Tolna, we have more storms that are rumbling through there with a risk of some very gusty straight line winds as well. And we'll take a look at our Devil's Lake Skycam. So Tolna is off to the east here. And again, that storm that is now blowing through Grand Forks County originated near Devil's Lake and has had rotation in it since that time. So again, here in Fargo-Moorhead, we have basically just cloudy gray skies. Our chance of storms comes much later. But for our viewers in Grand Forks, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out and see if we can see the evidence of that cloud or gust front approaching. Looks like it would be. What do you got, Nathan?
We have Eric.
Can you all tell me in the control room if we have Eric? I know he's posting some things on our... Okay, so we're having a little bit of trouble getting his signal into the station at this time. Could be weather related, go figure. But again, we're watching Grand Forks area very closely. There's folks outdoors and some very mean storms that are coming into town here in the next few minutes. It does look like the tornado warning that is for southern parts of Grand Forks County is set to expire here in the next little bit as we approach the 6 o'clock hour. The other confirmed tornado that was sighted near Larimore, we're still seeing another little hook echo start to form here. As this storm is, kind of watch it, it's splitting. You got this section up here going up towards Grafton, okay? Then down south, this one's blasting south towards Larimore. So a lot of volatility going on here right now and a lot of complex movements in the atmosphere that's very difficult to predict. And that's why we are taking it scan by scan here to let you know what's going on. So there was a confirmed tornado on the ground near Larimore. That shear or rotation area is now well out here and it's not far from Emerado. It's not as pronounced as it once was, but what is pronounced are these very bright colors you see here, which would indicate some very, very strong winds flowing out of the storm. Those strong winds are starting to push down into this general direction south of Highway 2. So this Emerado area is the area of concern for the tornado warning that does continue for central Grand Forks County. There is the tornado warning until 6:30 for Emerado, Larimore, and then the outskirts of the Grand Forks area. Here's that feature we were tracking. That is that gust front that's blowing in toward the Grand Forks area now. It's making its way over the airport. There is another one from another collapsing storm that's right behind it. That's more moving straight west to east. Northwood reports of a quote-unquote haboob or dust flow. I'm going to read a couple of information things that are just coming in. Okay, so good news is we have not heard any other news of observed tornadoes. We are seeing that there is some risk of some hooks or features with the storm that are showing up on the storm that is west of Northwood. That storm west of Northwood is about 18 miles off to the west. And let's see if there's spin there where that bite is taken out. It's not very evident. That's a good sign. But the tornado warning does continue, and gusty and violent straight line winds appear to be a very serious concern with these storms as they continue to track into the Grand Forks area. So, active tornado warning Grand Forks County, Larimore, gusty straight line winds, severe thunderstorm warning. That's a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for northern parts of Grand Forks County and into Marshall County and northwestern parts of Polk County, mainly near East Grand Forks and Fisher and off in that area. So as we see these storms blasting their way through Grafton, you're going to have some potentially strong winds coming at you from the south and the west. And then this is our main feature here in Grand Forks. So moving its way off to the east, tornado warning that was confirmed on the ground in the Larimore area, moving towards Emerado, a couple of areas of concern there with the outflow boundary that's approaching the Grand Forks area. I'm backing up here. So there is the outflow boundary, literally just a couple of miles outside of Grand Forks. We may see a pretty gusty wind associated with that. There's another outflow boundary right here that's moving in towards the Fairfield area. And here is our area of potential rotation in the storm. And I don't know if you want to check in physically, Nathan, with Eric and see if he can give us any feedback on where he is and what he's seeing with the storm, because we do have eyes on the ground. We're just having problems, apparently technical issues with this video signal and getting that in cleanly. So we'll work on that and remedying that if we can. Outside of Northwood here, a dangerous line of storms, but that tornado warning does or is supposed to expire at 6 o'clock. Now, rotation is still there. We still have these little hooks on it, but we aren't hearing the confirmation of funnel clouds or tornadoes making contact with the ground. So that's good news. The white box, by the way, here that you see around the central Grand Forks County one means there is a confirmed tornado sighting. Did you hear him?
Not from Eric, but a 55-mile-per-hour gust in Grand Forks County.
Okay.
Logan Center.
Okay, Logan Center in Grand Forks County reporting a 55-mile-per-hour gust, which is just below the severe threshold. 57 plus miles per hour would make it severe. So that's also some good news. So a smattering of severe thunderstorms. Up here in the Hallock area to Roseau County, we have some very heavy rain making its way through the area. More heavy rain in Devil's Lake is making its way through. The brunt of the strong storm cell that's moving through Tolna is going to miss you just to the south in Devil's Lake, but it is impacting the lake with some gusty winds and also some thunder and lightning. And then these storms here are starting to fire up on a line between I-94 and out there in the Sheridan County area heading towards Wells County, again, for another round for you folks. So we are going to continue to monitor the activity right here. Let's go. What's that? Oh, okay. Okay, we're getting feedback from Eric Whitehill. Okay, it looks like we have his video up there too, so. Pardon me.
Can we take Eric's video?
All right, so if we can take Eric's video, we can show, and then just let me know where he is and what he's seeing, because it looks awful cloudy. It's dropping out, isn't it? So.
I am 4 miles north of Golden Lake, North Dakota in Steele County, right on the Grand Forks Steele County line.
Okay.
And this haboob is insane.
Okay. So even if we could take his still photo, there it is. You're seeing just this huge bowl of dust that's blowing. And Eric, you're right along the county line. Have you noticed any of the funnel clouds associated with that storm as it's approached Northwood, or is that behind this gust front?
That is going to be behind this haboob. And a lot of the storm chasers, Hutch, myself included, we're all getting east of it because we can't see safely inside. Once we get inside the haboob, we can't really see very well at all. So it becomes a bit of a safety issue. So we're all trying to get east, myself included, but it's turning almost like a reddish sky. And the winds are very, very strong. I would say close to 50 miles an hour out of the north and west.